Foldables are now bigger than ever. In fact, every single smartphone company now has their own foldable. Samsung, Google, OnePlus, Oppo, Honor, and more. They've all got their own. All of them except for Apple. Well, it turns out that next year we could potentially finally see Apple's very first foldable. So get your popcorn ready, and here's everything we know. But before that, a quick shout out to ESR, our sponsor, for their protective range of cases that actually include a touch capacitive camera control button. More about ESR later in the video. Okay, so first things first, what would Apple's iPhone Fold look like? Would it be a flip-style foldable or a book-style one? Well, according to all the leaks, despite Apple having prototypes for both versions now, all the leaks are pointing towards the iPhone Fold being a book-style foldable. So, like a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold rather than a Z Flip. Closed, it will function like a standard iPhone, but then opened, it's set to offer an iPad mini-like experience, which I do think is the right approach. Personally, I never really saw the point of flip-style foldables. I mean, sure, they are more compact and they look cool, but they don't really offer you any extra functionality. Whereas with a book-style foldable, you get both a phone and a tablet right in your pocket. And that's what Apple's aiming to do here, blend the iPhone's portability with the iPad's functionality. Like, imagine being able to use an Apple Pencil with this. That would be so cool. So what about the display sizes? Well, that large inner display is said to be around 7.8 inches, while the outer display is said to be around 5.5, according to Ming-Chi Kuo. So its inner screen would be comparable to an iPad minis, although slightly smaller at 7.8 instead of 8.3. And then when compared to other foldables like the Oppo Find N5 or the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which both come with an 8.12 or 8-inch display, the iPhone Fold screen will be a bit smaller, although larger than the Z Fold 6's 7.6-inch display. As for its outer screen, at 5.5 inches, while smaller than the current 6.1-inch iPhones, we may actually see a wider aspect ratio, similar to the original Pixel Fold. In fact, both displays are set to feature an, I quote, unprecedented aspect ratio, possibly 4:3 internally, to match Apple's iPads, essentially giving us an experience that's very close to that of an iPad when opened. So think of this approach as sort of a foldable iPad mini rather than an unfoldable iPhone. Now, apparently a key goal for Apple's foldable is a crease-free display, avoiding, the infamous crease that we do see on current foldables. And this is also likely why it's been taking Apple so long to even release this thing, as they've been trying to perfect that foldable experience. Reports suggest that Apple has worked extensively on the hinge and the display in order to make the crease almost imperceptible. This likely involves advanced hinge mechanics and also display layering techniques, with Mark Gurman noting that it will have less of a screen crease than its competitors. That'll be quite interesting to see, as the Oppo Find N5 has a crease that's barely even noticeable. And when I went to MWC this year and saw Samsung's upcoming foldable display prototypes, they also had a near crease-free experience. Which means that the only way for Apple to make their display even more superior here would be to pretty much remove that crease entirely, as, like I said, it's already very minimal on some foldables today. Now, durability is also expected to be a focus here, with reports indicating that Apple will be using a titanium alloy frame and chassis, which would be complemented by a specifically designed hinge that would use titanium and potentially liquid metal components. And similar to the iPhone 15 Pro's use of titanium, the iPhone Fold's hinge may mix titanium and stainless steel, possibly even with metallic glass or liquid metal for extra resilience. This material can be up to 2.5 times stronger than titanium, which would aid the hinge's durability. So this approach aims for a premium, sturdy, yet lightweight build, which is crucial for a foldable device. So as usual, do expect Apple's typical high-end standard of fit and finish, which would ensure that the hinge operates smoothly and precisely over a long period of time. In fact, its display might incorporate silver nanowire touch technology, an advanced sensing layer that Apple's currently using in the HomePod's touch interface. Ming-Chi Kuo noted that this can enhance durability and flexibility compared to current standards like Samsung's YOCTA, as it would better withstand repeated bending, which is of course crucial for foldables. Interesting enough, Kuo also suggests its suitability for larger foldable or even rollable displays, essentially giving Apple potential long-term advantages of using this technology. Now, surprisingly, the iPhone Fold may actually bring back Touch ID built into the side power button as opposed to Face ID. This would be similar to how it currently works on the iPad mini or the iPad Air. The main reason for this being, of course, saving internal space and also achieving a slimmer form factor, as Face ID components, they do require a significant amount of space inside due to their thickness. Plus, a side-mounted Touch ID sensor would allow unlocking whether the device is open or closed, something that Face ID would simply not allow for. Although, personally, I would love to see a reliable software-based Face ID approach. I mean, I'm sure that many years into the future, we will see some sort of a hardware-based solution for Face ID on the, I don't know, the iPhone Fold 4 or 5 or something like that. I mean, we still haven't seen it on MacBooks, so yeah, that should be coming at some point as well. Did you guys know that it can actually cost up to $700 without Apple Care to replace the camera control button on an iPhone 16? Yeah, that's insane. And most case manufacturers leave the button exposed, but ESR, our sponsor, offers the ultimate protection for your iPhone. Their Halo Lock Classic Hybrid case comes with a capacitive PCB stack, surrounded by tempered glass for the camera control that allows it to work like there's no case at all. Yeah, pretty crazy. And its stash stand is super useful for watching landscape content too, whilst also letting me charge my iPhone without getting in the way. Plus, the strong Halo Lock magnetic design means that no matter how hard I shake it, it will always stay connected. And if I drop it, guess what? The air guard corners can protect my iPhone for up to 11 feet. So check out ESR's range of cases using the links below to help keep your iPhone protected too. Now, when it comes to the cameras, we're expecting to see a dual camera module setup on the back, probably a main and an ultra-wide module, so matching the setup that we've got on the iPhone 16. Although I would probably guess that Apple would be using a smaller main sensor here just to save on internal space, so I wouldn't be surprised if they actually use the same sensor as in the iPhone 16e. Then the outer screen is said to come with a single punch-hole camera, like we've seen in other foldables, while the inner screen is said to feature an under-the-display front camera, like we've got on Samsung's foldables, for that ultimate immersion when watching content. So what about the thickness and the battery technology, both of which are crucial aspects of a foldable today? Well, the development of the iPhone Fold is apparently closely linked to the rumored development of the ultra-slim iPhone 17 Air. According to Mark Gurman, the iPhone Fold will actually utilize display, battery, modem, and chip innovations found in the 17 Air. So we could see Apple's C1 modem inside for more efficient connectivity and potentially, quote, a high-density battery. So silicon carbon batteries essentially for a super thin frame. How thin, you may ask? Well, between 4.5 to 4.8 millimeters thin when unfolded. So not quite as thin as the Find N5's 4.2mm thickness, but close, and much thinner than the Z Fold 6's 5.6mm frame. Okay, now let's talk about the software. What would Apple's foldable software experience be like? Well, in terms of multitasking, on iPadOS, this is very smooth and so easy to do. And since the aspect ratio would be that of an iPad when opened, there's a very high chance that we'll actually see iPadOS running on it rather than iOS, and then just with an iOS-style UI when closed. In fact, Apple is reportedly rumored to be overhauling iPadOS and iOS in order to ensure a seamless experience in terms of transitions between those two displays and multitasking on its foldable display. And personally, while I do love the multitasking experience on other foldables, I would definitely prefer the iPadOS approach here, as I'm a pretty big fan of Stage Manager, and this is great on the Mac, also great on the iPad, so I do think this would be far more useful and more powerful than the usual side-by-side multitasking. So I would expect Stage Manager here alongside some unique foldable UI elements. Michiko suggested that this could be marketed as an AI-driven phone with enhanced multitasking capabilities. The goal is essentially merging the iPhone's simplicity with the iPad's productivity through, this polished Apple software integration. As for the release dates, leaks are pointing towards a launch window between late 2026 and early 2027. With both Michiko and Mark Gurman suggesting the same timeframe. Mark Gurman reports a potential 2026 debut if the development proceeds smoothly, with supply chain sources seemingly confirming the same dates. Mass production essentially beginning in the second half of 2026. This extended timeline would then give Apple even more time to perfect this design. And interesting enough, this timing would actually coincide with the iPhone's 20th anniversary if it launches in 2027. So it would be the perfect time to actually launch this device then, at least if they want to, merge it with the anniversary. Oh, by the way, if you like the wallpapers that you're seeing in our concepts, they are all from our app Wallpapers. Free to download using the links below. Now, for the not so great part, the price. The iPhone Fold is expected to cost between $2,000 to $2,500, according to Ming-Chi Kuo, making it not just Apple's most expensive iPhone yet, but also the most expensive foldable on the market yet. I mean, sure, there's a lot of reasons behind this, the complex display that has no crease, the innovative hinge and all that, not even to mention the decade of R&D. Keep in mind that the first rumors surfaced back in 2016. Although, personally, I do think $2,000, not even to mention $2,500, would be far too much. As at the end of the day, even if Apple were to launch the iPhone Fold today, it wouldn't actually be the thinnest foldable on the market, or the one with the largest screen. So even today, they wouldn't have the highest end foldable. And then next year, when they launch it, or even early 2027, that's when more foldables will be out. So unless Apple changes something soon, it will already be out of date by the time it launches. Keep in mind that Samsung will be launching the Z Fold 7 in just a few months, which is said to have the same 4.5mm thickness, yet with a larger 8-inch display as opposed to Apple's 7.8. So, would you consider getting an iPhone Fold? Personally, I'm definitely going to, as I do use the foldable. I'm a big fan of the Oppo Find N5, and this is my Android phone of choice right now. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for an Apple Foldable as well. So what do you guys think? And do subscribe for more updates on the iPhone Fold and more Apple news. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.